The only problem now is that he would start becoming a target. Garrett tells him not to worry. Now that he's stepped out from the king's shadow, he's become the sky that will light up all the ability. With the support of almost the entire table, still of royal blood, for sure he's confident that most will follow him. The prince is excited, saying that just being the savior of the people sounds amazing. Besides that, he's thinking about making the Shikan territory part of their faction. Gerard says it's not a bad idea since Russell is an icon to many, and since he personally delivered the letter, it would make total sense. However, at the same time, he did need to give too many good things. It's not necessary to feed a fish twice after it's already been caught. The prince says he's confused. It was Ken, right, Gerard, who brought the letter from Russell. So why don't they see that close? Gerard explains that delivering a letter was just to settle a debt he had. Nothing more than a transaction. Right then, the first prince gives him a stare. Right, man? Caught red-handed sucker, saying he made the whole plan, and now he admits he was just doing transaction. He's already trembling, saying that this guy's eyes were just like galaxies. Every time that bastard looked at him with that face, it felt like he was staring into his soul. And then the first prince is already walking past, saying to get ready because he's heading to Shikan territory. Gerard, confused, wants to know if he's going personally. The prince says yes, he doesn't care if they reject him there. Besides, just interacting with that territory is going to seriously irritate Seal. Who's the next successor? Gerard, though, realizes he's losing his chance. He wanted the prince to be interested in the wisdom he has. So what all of a sudden is he going to visit Shikan like that? The problem is, he can't stop it. And if he tries anything, it'll look suspicious. So he just bows and says, as you wish. A few days later, someone asks if Calix heard. He asks, heard what? And Russell says there are people out there saying he needs to become a class 4 as fast as possible. Our boy says not to worry, he already has an idea how to do that. Seems like he's looking for some dungeons to form on the map, but it's tough. Russell, however, is super hype, saying you don't need to be smart to get strong, man. All he needs to do is take one step each day as fast as possible. He was going to make sure the boy would be class 4 soon. Calix is all shaking there and Russell already grabs him by the arm, saying it's time for training. Next scene now in the field, everyone scared, even covering their faces and trembling man. Another attack comes right at Calix's face with Russell yelling for him to look up. Obviously, he takes it full on and is knocked out on the ground. Seems like the beatings and training are intense. He wonders if at this pace he's not going to end up dead in this other world. Next day, birds chirping in the morning and Russell's already waking him up saying it's time for training. Man, the boy is completely wrecked and says he has to realize he has no skill for this. But the trainer says he doesn't need talent to master the sword. Anyone would become class 5 if they train diligently, and he's proof of that. Calix, though, asks if training this much isn't bad for the body. He's going to stun his growth. He shows his injuries and yeah, the boy got beat up all day long. But the trainer just says that injuries at that level can be healed with a low-level potion. Calix replies that they can't afford to buy potions. The territory is going through a serious financial crisis. And of course the guy says that thanks to him, that's a thing of the past. Now he rested enough and it was time to get back to training. He yells that he hates this, but there he is again, holding his little sword, and another of Russell's attacks come in his way. At least now for the first time he has seen the movement of the sword. Which doesn't mean much since he's even seen it, he's still to be full hit to the head and ended up thinking how beautiful this guy was. Suddenly, he says to himself that he can't keep living like this. He has to get out of this situation soon and think of a way to escape it. Yeah, when he thinks of a girl, Boop's missing our assassin, huh? She left and never came back, we really need a new one. He says he needs the strongest and first ally of the prince. She seemed to be the most skilled person in the game when it came to money. However, she and the first prince hadn't met yet at this point. Which means maybe he can steal her. He's all excited. Russell obviously tells him to stop stalling and already pulls him by the arms. But just then our boy yells out that he has something really important to say. Of course, the old man warns that he won't accept any excuse to make him rest. If he tried to make anything up, training time would be increased tenfold. They had to understand that they stole 100,000 in silver bars, but they weren't using them. At the moment, they were useless since they couldn't sell them or it would be obvious. Which obviously put them in a risky position since anyone would want to steal them. The protagonist says that's exactly why they need someone to launder that money. Russell knows this kid is definitely making this up just to stop training. But unfortunately, it really is a problem. But he asks if they really need to do this now. Our boy says the plan is to lend those gold bars to someone and profit from the interest man. He replies fine since it would be good to get rid of those bars soon. He wants to know how long it will take. Calix, who knows he can't say too long, but also can't say too short, says maybe 3 months. He thinks he made the perfect offer. This way it would be impossible for Russell to refuse. But Russell, of course, is no fool. Already realizes he's kind of being tricked. But with no real choice because of the bars, he says he'll leave it to Carl. But he says he'll leave it to Carl. Of course, he's no fool. Already realizes he's kind of being tricked. But with no real choice because of the bars, he says he'll leave it to Carl to be responsible for his daily training. Calix says there's no need to go that far, but obviously Russell says that's the bare minimum. Next morning, Carl says he has a very interesting piece of news. Seems like the first prince was heading there. Calix wants to know why. And he says this guy is going through a succession war. And it looks like he's coming to take this territory and annex it. Right away, Calix is already getting ready and asks what the problem is. Wow, the guy said they didn't know that man. He'd be best to prepare the carriages and horses quickly. They were leaving in 2 hours. Crot asks how her boy's going to do that. He doesn't even know how to ride a horse yet. He just shuts the suitcase and says he'll learn on the way. Let's go, man. Our boy says everyone knows very well the name of that bastard. Gail Rocio Luclevio Krakow. What a big name. And it seems he's one of the few hero-level people in this game. 29 years old from the royal family with a reputation of mystery and currently low support. But of course, what's strong about him is down there that SSS-ranked military talent man. Crot isn't running away because he's afraid to fight the prince. But because he knows how cunning the prince is when it comes to recruiting people. If he meets him, he'll definitely end up getting recruited by this guy. And with that, he already turns to Crot and tells him to shut up and just go. Crot is still a bit confused about what he's saying and already remembers the beatings he'll get from Russell if he doesn't keep up with the boy properly. So he yells out asking the prince to wait. 2 hours later, Calix is in front of the house, pointing at the other one, wanting to know where the bastard is. He told the bastard to be quick, but he was too slow. That's when he sees our dear Layla and know how he missed her. Where's your assassin outfit? You're so well behaved, my girl. He asks what she's doing and she just says that thanks to his efforts, it seems no one was bothering her. The Shadow faction collapses and there are several deserters like her. Obviously, he wants to know what her plans are. All sad, she says she hasn't decided yet. How about you stick with this little blonde boy? Wouldn't it be nice to stay by his side, huh? Layla is all emotional, saying she dreamed her whole life about this freedom, but now that she got it, she doesn't know what to do. That's why she just goes wherever she feels she has to and sees what happens. Our boy gets all emotional and calls out to her, turning around like he's going to give her a kiss. Ah, damn it. It looked like he was gonna invite her to come along and he says that if he had the chance, he'd go to the Holy Empire of Grenada. She asks if that isn't the place with a bunch of mana artifacts and techniques that work specifically for women. He just replies that she doesn't have to believe him, but that it was the best option. She thanks him and says it's fine that if she had one more chance, she'd like to meet him again. Man, wow. This boy is cold. He thanks her and says goodbye, thinking to himself that it's a shame, but he can't keep her close anymore. That's because she wasn't even that talented of a person, not someone with exceptional abilities. Next man, Dan Calix, cold and calculating. What's this kid? Ice cold heart. Look at her there, all pretty, turning away in her hoodie, waving goodbye, and off she goes. He just keeps thinking about how she said they'd meet again soon. Then he goes to Albie's grave and says he was the person who died more honorably than anyone else. That was the guy who took a hit in the back to save him, and now he let Layla go because her status window showed that her max level was very low. Maybe he needed to stop seeing everyone here as just a character in a game. Yeah, make that a good idea, you bastard. You can't just let her go like that, man. How's the artist supposed to work now? But anyway, we've already cried for everyone who died and left. It was time to move on. I thought it